Mikhail Gorbachev knew that if he wanted to make life better in the USSR, a new approach was needed. Under the twin slogans of Glasnost and Perestroika, he set about reshaping Soviet society. Perestroika means restructuring. Gorbachev wanted to loosen the party's grip on the economy so that people would be able to buy and sell goods at a profit with no interference from the state. Through Glasnost, that's openness, he wanted people to feel free to speak their minds, question the past and prepare the way for more honest government. This was Gorbachev's way of handing power back to the people.
Glasnost means simply that we, journalists, could write what we wish. And so Glasnost reintroduced feedback from the society to the top, what is really happening there. Because all those KGB agents who were in the society, they were reporting back up only those things that they thought the bosses wanted to hear. And now Glasnost really described our society as it is. And so when we know the real picture, the real state of our society, then maybe we'll find ways to change it for the better.
Glasnost paved the way for Perestroika. Quite simply, Gorbachev wanted to change the way the country was run. To do that, he had to bring in new people with new ideas at every level of government. Boris Yeltsin was one of Gorbachev's first appointments. He was the new head of the Moscow Communist Party. Shortly after he took office, he sacked more than 100 officials on charges of corruption and laziness. Here was a man intent on making his mark.
What people realized at that time was that everything was wrong. And on that wave, Yeltsin became very popular because he rejected everything which didn't seem to function. The party was wrong, the party was conservative, the economy didn't work, and Yeltsin became immediately popular.
But the more popular Yeltsin became with the people, the less popular he was with senior party members, the very people Gorbachev needed on his side if he were to push through his reforms. Yeltsin missed no public or private opportunity to criticize these people for standing in the way of progress. Yeltsin saw Moscow as a model that the rest of the USSR could follow. Under his guidance, small businesses began to flourish, and the streets were a hive of activity and debate. But the Central Committee didn't like what it saw, particularly people campaigning openly for Russia to leave the USSR. Yeltsin would have to go. A date was set for his public humiliation. This took place in front of Gorbachev and senior party members at the headquarters of the Moscow Communist Party. Yeltsin's sacking in November 1987 showed the power of party hardliners and served as a warning to Gorbachev that the road ahead wouldn't be a smooth one. It also turned Yeltsin against Gorbachev.
For Yeltsin, he had a health problem. I think it was linked with his heart. He was in the hospital, and they actually pulled him from the hospital in order to stage this political trial against him. When people came to the podium, actually friends, former colleagues of Yeltsin, and who said that Yeltsin is no good. And from that moment, he started hating Gorbachev.
After that, Gorbachev, that was a big mistake in my view, maybe the biggest. Instead of sending him as an ambassador to Portugal or to Ireland, he gave him the position of the Minister of Construction. So he stayed in Moscow with all these connections. It was Gorbachev's big mistake, which shows that Gorbachev was not very good at these intrigues at the top.
In the summer of 1988, Gorbachev made his next major break with the past. At a special conference of the Soviet Parliament, he proposed a replacement for the Parliament itself, a new Congress of People's Deputies that would be directly elected by the people. This was Perestroika with a capital P. It was Gorbachev's way of giving the people, for the first time, a direct say in how the country was run. When the democracy proposal came to the vote, the delegates followed their leader and voted for an elected Congress. They all thought it would be many years before a People's Congress would come into being, but Gorbachev had other plans. After the vote, he produced a sheet of paper and, to the shock of everyone in the hall, announced that elections would take place the following March. The party delegates voted their approval, even though they'd been given little time to think about what these changes really meant. And what they meant was that many of them would not be coming back. They just voted themselves out of a job.
Один французский корреспондент, не произошло, только намечается. Он говорит, вы не понимаете, что у вас произошло. у вас полный поворот в политическом переустройстве страны, в обществе происходит.
Я думаю, что многие, проголосовав, только тогда задумались над тем, чем это грозит им лично, такое решение. И я сам слышал, когда выходили, многие говорили, что же вообще мы сделали.